Well, it says live, but I'm going to give it another mo. There it goes. There it goes. Looks like we are live. Fantastic then. Mateo, glad to see you, buddy. Yeah, that comment was pretty stellar, wasn't it? Hey, Manuel, how are you? I'll tell you, it's always funny to receive. Big Daddy, how's it going, man? It's always funny to see various comments that are left on channels. And NC, how are you? Yeah. So for those of you guys just joining, I was talking with Mateo. I had a comment on one of my videos. Adam, James, good to see you guys. There was a comment on I think it was the Shield versus P365 video, and it was an older gentleman, and I only know that because he said he was like 69 or 70 years old, and reminded me how bad of a shot I was. And it just, it's funny, the different types of comments that we see. Big Johnson, good to see you. Gerald, good to see you as well. So it's just, it's always entertaining to see these comments, and to a degree, he's right. I'm not the best shooter. I don't claim to be. That's not my goal in life. But I think that the premise of it was just pretty funny. Yeah, I know, Channel Cat. That's exactly right. I am absolutely terrible. I maintain, though, if that target was a person, they'd be hurting, if nothing else. So let's see, Mateo, just so you know, KS, I'm going to create an account where I claim to be 80 and troll you shooting just for funsies. I appreciate that about you. Thanks, Mateo. You do a good enough job keeping me honest as is. You don't need to create another account just to do that. Big Daddy, I was reviewing the Glick. I was. And that was probably the best part of the comment. He called Glocks Glicks the entire time. So always entertaining. Logan, much appreciated, buddy. I appreciate your comment on his comment. That was fantastic. So enjoy the hockey game, of course. Harry, delete really negative comments. Don't have time. If you're Rob Latham, someone, yeah, that's exactly right, Harry. And generally speaking, 17, good to see you. I generally delete those types of comments. I mean, I've got kind of a general rule of thumb on my channel. If you're negative towards another commenter or me, and it's not an opinion about a gun or anything like that, it's just mean to the person, I generally just get rid of you. I don't have time for that. And I definitely don't have time if somebody's belittling another commenter. But it's just interesting. Joshua, good to see you. Insight, how are you? Kea, 17, always good to see you, of course. I do see you out there. But guys, what's going on tonight? I have no agenda. I just thought, what the hell? I do a live stream for a little while. Probably won't be a very long one, but I haven't done one of these in a while, and these are kind of fun. Of course, we've got Music Lover, good to see you. We've got the big one coming up tomorrow night, so that's of course the big deal with my brothers out there. But inside, I've experienced that with UKS Truth. Yeah, I mean, it's people will say anything, and it's shocking to me how little of a filter there is with people out there. And I get it. If you don't agree with somebody or whatever, if you think they're a bad shot or whatever it is, that's perfectly fine. Move along. There are other channels that are much more tactical than my channel certainly is, but whatever. James bought a Ruger SR 1911 Tallow today. Now, is that the one that's got the it's almost like a dark frame aluminum frame on it? So I saw one, and is it a 45 or a 9mm? Because I think those SR 1911s are sharp guns. I really do. 17, really, you got to be that guy. Joshua is talking about you right now, Keyboard Commando. But yeah, Gerald, I appreciate that. I love those two bozos, but it's nice to do our own thing from time to time, right? But James, yeah, I'm curious about that. I was looking at an SR 1911 and 9mm at Frontier Justice the other day, and they're good looking guns. I've had a couple of SR 1911 in 45s, the original ones, just the plain Jane ones that first came out, the CMD version and the regular version. And they, for the money, those are phenomenal guns. I truly think they are. They run really well. They feel good. I mean, I think they're fantastic. So 17's working out his emoji skills tonight. Harry, working on a list of new products and packing for my Ernest Langdon class this weekend. Oh, that's cool. 39 degrees high in Southern Virginia. early April, unheard of. All the warmth, all the good warm shooting gloves were sold out. Yeah, I'm sure of that, man. You know, it's unusually cold everywhere. It's freezing cold here too. In fact, we had a little bit of snow on Easter, and it's April. Right now, we should be in like 50s, 60s, something like that. And the day before, I was in shorts and a t-shirt. So things are really up and down around here as well. Yeah, Mateo, definitely going to be a keyboard Green Beret for sure. Lane, always good to see you, my friend. For sure. Firearms 101, good to see you as well. Keenan, good to see you as well. But anyways, yeah, that Ruger is awesome. I want to hear more about it, James, for sure. 87 in South Florida. Nobody likes to show off, Emmanuel. That sounds absolutely delightful. I think a lot of us are jealous of that. 17, what is wrong with you? Pancakes now. You are that bored, really? Anyways, so in all seriousness, how's it going? Almost landed a P30L today. Those are freaking awesome. That's isn't that the whatever the Keanu Reeves, one of his guns that he uses in John Wick. Those are pretty freaking cool. I also like those adapters that you can put on the VP9s and the P30s. That those weight extension things. Those are pretty cool looking. I like those. Al, always good to see you. Patrick, good to see you as well. 17 saw the all FDE APX. What did you think? Did you like it? I want to hear more about that. NC Master Speed Reader. I'm glad that you said Speed Reader. Yeah, thanks, man. I'm trying my best for sure. So Patrick, looking for a great all-around AR, the DDM for, I'm assuming that means Daniel Defense. Looks great, but do you have any recommendations? Patrick, as a lot of these guys know around here, I am not even remotely an expert in long guns at all. I like them. I think they're really cool looking, but I've just never really gotten into them. So I'm sure some of these guys have some great recommendations for you. I'll be honest with you. For me, I would be into something like an M&P Sport 2 or something like that. It's pretty nuts and bolts, pretty basic, not terribly fancy at all, but for the price, I understand it's a very good gun. CW, good to see you as well. And still winter in Seattle. I would imagine that's probably true in Seattle for sure. John Wick, yes, absolutely. Firearms 101 got the CZ P10C. Very pleased. It's funny you say that. Actually, the P10 next to me unloaded. I've had some good conversations with my buddy 1776 about this gun right here. And I will tell you, I still like this gun a lot. I just think it's a phenomenal gun. It's got the HB Industries flat trigger on it, fully flat trigger on it now. Yes, 17, I did this one myself. And it just, I think it's a really, really good gun. For sure. Let's see what else is going on here. Shooting with Uncle Dan. Good to see you, and thank you very much. Appreciate that. Much appreciated. Channel Cat Colt. So Channel Cat, are you a Colt fan? Is that the deal? And I am as well. I love Colts. I'm a big fan. In fact, the first handgun I ever shot was my grandfather's World War II Colt 45, and so I've got certainly a special place in my heart for Colts. Let's see, Harry. I'm hoping Ernest has some demo Beretta guns for me to shoot instead of to shooting, I would imagine. I think about the PX4 Compact. Everybody keeps talking about this PX4 thing, man. I definitely need to check one out. It's on the list for the year. By the way, guys, if you have suggestions on guns for the channel, let me know, because right now, and I've talked with Big Johnson and 1776, there is nothing inspiring to me, to be honest with you. I mean, I was looking, and you guys will probably laugh at this, as I've got the Scorpion next to me as well, and I've had so much fun with it. I've been looking at the Sig Sauer MPX, the little teeny one. It's their micro, and it's a sweet freaking gun. However, it's $2,000, and that is a hard pill to swallow, and I have yet to pull the trigger on that, and I highly doubt I will. If I do, I probably have to take out a second mortgage for that. So we shall see. Gerald saying MP Sport 2 would be a good first AR. Yeah, I mean, I think they're good guns. Everything I know about them. Captain Phil, good to see you. I think they look fine. I don't have any experience with either the MP Sport 2 or the I think it's the Saint, but I think both of them look just fine, to be honest with you. Harry, the P10C is so good, it's boring. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's a good gun for sure. Frank, good to see you. There is no occasion. I was bored and I decided to do a live stream. I had a comment on a channel. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, and it inspired me to get out and do a chat because the comment was a little irritating. So whatever, it is what it is. Keenan, the PX4 is a good shooter, especially for the price. Yeah, I mean, again, so many people talk about it, so I need to do it. I need to look into one at some point in time. Sean, good to see you. Absolutely. LZ, good to see you as well. Yeah, that P10 subcompact. I don't know when or where that's coming or whatever, but I think that would be pretty sweet indeed. Let's see. Mateo got another Steyr on the delayed with my LGS. So you got delayed for it. That's a surprise, Mateo, but I'm glad you got it. Glock with Indo Tactical and Shockwave inspires me. Shooting with Uncle Dan, I'm not familiar with that one, to be honest with you. So I'd be curious about that. V-Borg, good to see you as well. Young Guns, good to see you also. Picked up a full-size Jericho 941 steel frame, and it is sweet. Soft shooter. Yeah, you'll have to tell me a little bit more about that. I'm sure you'll put out a video on it. As always, guys, a lot of good channels out here tonight, so be sure to check those out, of course. Harry, I think SIG is closing out some MPXs with key mod rails soon. So yeah, if that were the case, that'd be pretty cool. I think this is a newer one. And it was an all FDE. I mean, it was a beautiful gun. It really was. A little heavier than the Evo, even though it's smaller. But again, $2,000, man. That's tough to part with, I got to tell you. 17, check out my Instagram. You'll see the comment out there. And feel free to leave a comment on that guy's comment if you want to. Music Lover, you talk about that P09 a lot. You've got a good connection with that gun. And I like the P09, P07. I prefer the P07, to be honest with you. It just fits a little better in my hand. But those are great guns. I know Big Johnson swears by that P09. Mateo, need to pick up some revolvers. I've been thinking about that, man. And more people, I mean, I know Nolan's been doing some revolver stuff, and I've been a little bit jealous of him, to be honest with you. So I've been toying with that idea. I actually really like and I think I've mentioned this before, it's the Ruger LCR, but in 9mm. The only problem is I hear that has some potential issues being in 9mm, that the casings can go through, I think it's moon clips probably that they have to be on. So I don't know. We shall see what happens. NC looking to pick up a Weatherby PA 459 12 gauge with pistol grip. Nice. So $289. That's a hell of a deal. That sounds very cool. Let's see. Music Lover still liking the Shadow 2. Absolutely. That is a forever gun. That gun is going nowhere because it makes me look like a better shooter than I really am. Let's be honest. I mean, it's a dream to shoot. I mean, if you want a really fun experience with a firearm that is really, it's competition or range more than anything else, I think it is just phenomenal. And frankly, at $1,100 or $1,200 roughly, it's expensive, but I think that one's really worth the price. Some guns are not, but I think that one is. Emmanuel, is it worth buying online to save $50 or retail? That's a phenomenal question, and everybody weigh in on that. For me, no. First, I'm impatient, so I want to walk out the door with the gun. And here in Kansas, you can do that. And we're fortunate to have some really good stores. Centerfire, that's where you guys see all my shooting. Centerfire Shooting Sports, and then Frontier Justice, I also do a lot of work with. And those guys, between the two, they have just about anything that I'm looking for within reason. And I figure buying online a lot of times, some of that discount goes away if you're paying for shipping or transfer fees or any of that sort of thing. So I would rather support my local gun stores and build up those relationships, which I think I have, hopefully. So to me, not. But I know a lot of people buy online and they swear by it. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. Let's see. 17's got a PCR on the way. That's very cool. Very cool for sure. Yeah, I mean, do you still have the Phantom? I can't remember. It's Frank, just sell your car and walk to work. Frank, it's a long distance downtown, my brother. That would not be very pleasant. So Harry has 21776. Since you're part owner, any lines on the CZP01 Omega in black? Compton Terry, good to see you. That's pretty funny. Yeah, Insight, the PO7. And again, both are fantastic. I think a lot of it just has to do with the shape and the size of your hands, what fits best for you for sure. Something just got away from me here. Hang on a sec. Mateo, yeah, requires moon clips, and the rounds are more subject to a bullet jump because of the taper crimp. Hope I read that right. Yeah, I mean that makes sense, and I've had several people, including some of the guys at Frontier and Centerfire, say the same thing. So I'm still kind of weighing my odds. So we shall see. Harry, I saw you just text me. I'll get back with you here shortly. Channel Cat wants a blue gripped S2. Well, I'll tell you what, if you can't find one, just buy a black one and then buy the grips. Because I think the black one will be a tiny bit less expensive than you could just buy the grips. They sell those, I think, probably at CZ Custom, and there might be some other places that have them as well. They're out of stock a fair amount, but if you're patient, I think you can find them. Insight, the Shadow 2 isn't a bad bedside gun. At least she's near me there too. Yeah, I'm sure that would fit that role without too much of a problem. For me, if I'm gonna have a bedside gun, I want something that I can part with easier if I absolutely have to. In the Shadow, I'd struggle parting with that one. Jay Greg, good to see you. It's been a while. Okay, so I'm behind here a little bit, guys. I apologize. By the way, 55 watching, thank you guys very much. Really appreciate it. You guys are amazing as always. Frank's asking 17 about the new PPS, probably with that little shield red dot. That thing does look pretty cool. I saw a video about that the other day, a really short little blurb on it. So hopefully that's around the corner before too long. Oh, CW is telling Harry there's a black PO1 Omega at West Coast Armory in Bellevue, Washington. Well done. Mateo's saying I buy online from gun shops that are in Kentucky, like Kentucky Gun Company and Buds. Nice, nice. Joe Quinn. Okay, so if I could pick only one, CZP07, CZP01, Shadow, I'm assuming Shadow 2, or CZP09, which one? That is an interesting question. 17's already said the PO1. I'm sure some others have answered. I haven't seen that just yet. I think it all depends on application. I mean, if you're using it for concealed carry, something like Shadow 2 might not be as realistic versus something like maybe a PO1 or a PO7 or even a PO9. So it all kind of depends. If it's a range gun, I'd go Shadow 2 all day long. If it was a carry gun, I'd probably go between the PO7 and the PO1, but probably the PO7. At least for me, it's a little bit lighter, and I just think the PO7's a great gun. Jay Greg, I appreciate that. I appreciate you trolling us and just watching and not commenting. That's very cool. Much appreciated. Let's see, Steve, still like your P65? Absolutely. And so I got mine back from SIG, and they really didn't do very much. They went ahead and replaced the barrel because I was talking about some of the peening issues on the front of the slide, which were pretty nil. There wasn't a lot there. So they went ahead and put a new barrel in it, although in talking with SIG, they basically said it really wasn't absolutely necessary. And it's expected to get a tiny bit of peening in the gun. You know, take that for what it's worth. I know 17's probably rolling his eyes right now, but I got to trust the experts in this. And I do know that I've had a couple of other firearms, small firearms, including the very first Shield I ever had. It had some peening issues as well. So there may be some merit to that, but I'm going to keep shooting, keep trucking with it and see what happens. And if I find that it continues to have problems, I have no problem reporting it to you guys and saying, hey, I was wrong. This gun still has problems, because obviously we've had some other people that have had issues with them as well. So we'll see. But shooting with Uncle Dan, nobody talking about the YouTube shooting. I don't want to stir up anything too much because we don't know very much. So I hate to talk too much about that. Obviously, when people are hurt, that's never a good thing, especially when it's with firearms. But I'm going to reserve talking too much about that for now. I mean, feel free to talk amongst yourselves about it, of course. Frank, CZs with Apex triggers is the new black, right? Right now, Apex, I don't think they're doing much with CZs, and I've asked them about that. There may be some things down the road there, and that would be a heck of a combination. I mean, I love Apex triggers, but we'll see what happens with that. Lost his P365 in a crack in the sidewalk. I didn't. You're talking about me? Channel Cat looking at the Ruger 400. Is that one of the 22s, I imagine? Maybe the Mark IV. If that's the case, those are pretty freaking sweet. I do like those quite a bit. No doubt, good to see you. Radagast, good to see you as well. 1,000 rounds on the P07. Very nice, very nice. In all seriousness, I'm looking for a home defense, something the wife can use, not small, just low recoil. There are a lot of different options out there. I mean, I was about to suggest even something like the Shield 380 Easy, but you said not small, and I'm not trying to say that she can only handle a 380 at all. I just know those are actually really pretty good guns from what I understand. But if you're looking for polymer or something like that, I don't know if the M&P 2.0 compact might be an option. I mean, Glock 19s are an option, of course. There are a lot of different good choices out there. Sandpaper, good to see you as well. Just catching up here, guys. Give me a sec. Gerald, I've looked at the 19X and it's just not for me. I've tried to like it, but just can't. I totally understand, man. I totally get it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't do anything different than the other Glocks are doing. It has a couple of extra rounds, has a different paint job on it, but really, if you've already got a Glock, and I know you have a Glock or two, I think that's perfectly fine. Joe Quinn, single action or double action? Can't we have both? Obviously I'd go single action if I had to. In fact, I was looking at it was a P220 single action only Legion, and I've really pondered that gun a lot. I'd be potentially on board for something like that. So single action, those are great guns for sure. Let's see, LZ, can anyone shoot the P365 with gloves? That's a good question. I have not tried. I've actually got the 365 here with me right now. It's pretty small as far as the trigger guard goes, but I think a thin glove could get in there without too much of an issue. If it's a big, heavy glove, probably not. But by and large, I'm digging this gun, man. I think it's a fantastic gun. I truly do. Dave Gass, good to see you. Brian Ripple, good to see you as well. If I've missed anybody, I apologize. Kevlar J, appreciate you. Sparky, good to see you as well. Let's see. Sparky said, I think you mentioned before that you used to shoot competition. What competitions did you shoot and what equipment were you running? Great question. The place where I shoot, that it's in the video, Center Fire Shooting Sports. They've got a league that they do, 3, 4, 5 times a year, whatever it is, and it's IDPA based. So it doesn't adhere strictly to IDPA rules, but it's certainly geared around that. And it's running and gunning. It's shooting around barricades, low light, all that kind of stuff. It's a ton of fun. We go beyond the range where you would normally shoot. So we're out running around out there. And I used to run a Glock 34. It was a somewhat modified Glock 34. I mean, it had, I think it was a Vogel competition trigger in it, and some other pretty cool internal parts. The external parts were totally stock. I mean, I had some, I think, True Glow TFX Pros or something like that on it. Just, standard competition belt, nothing terribly fancy in there at all. I mean, this was not hardcore competition. It was far more defensive based. But that's what I did, and it was a lot of fun. Sean, good to see you later on, man. Thanks for joining us. All right, so I'm sure I'm woefully behind here, guys. So you'll have to catch me up. If I've missed a question that somebody had, please let me know. James Rose still can't find the 365 in Louisville. Hopefully you'll find one pretty soon. I think they're trying to get them out as quickly as they can at this point. Paul, good to see you. Let's see. Sebring 4444. Does your carry gun have a red dot? My carry gun does not. I typically carry either a Smith & Wesson Shield 2.0 or a M&P Compact 2.0. So neither one have a red dot. I'm not into red dots for carry. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I think we're headed that direction where we're going to be seeing more red dots on carry guns. But for me, I just like iron sights. I'm used to them. They seem to run okay for me. So that's kind of my deal there. As 3421 want to buy a 365, but Sig told me the 1776 bought them all. You heard right, my friend. That is not a rumor. He bought all of them. Harry's saying my local gun shop has the old P365, the infamous P365, so they can show it for pre-sales. I told them to put a price of $25,000 on it. You signed it though, right? You engraved your signature on the side. That is definitely a famous gun. Let's see here. Bald, good to see you. Is your 6 covered? Good to see you as well. Again, if I've missed anybody, I do apologize. I'll try and catch you as best I can. NC, KS, what's the special elixir tonight? It's not special at all. When it's just me hanging out, I'm pretty low key. I'm actually drinking Kentucky Gentleman right now. It's smooth, it's easy to drink, and it's cheap. So that's the deal. The special stuff comes out when there are guests over. Well, so shooting with Uncle Dan, I hope that answers your question. Now, I like some other stuff as well. I mean, if I'm going a little bit more highbrow, of course, Maker's Mark is always a good one. Russell's Reserve, I like quite a bit. Some people call it Bullet. I call it Billier because of the way they pronounce it, but they've got a rye and then a standard bourbon. I like those as well. I'm trying to think some other ones. Buffalo Trace is actually really good. It's not very expensive, very smooth on the rocks. I always drink bourbon on the rocks. Those are kind of the big ones. Basil Hayden's is another one that I like. And then Rye One, I like Rye One quite a bit. It's kind of in a tall wine bottle sort of thing. It's pretty good as well. Knob Creek is fantastic, without question. Harry's, I actually like their rye quite a bit. Shooting with Uncle Dan's a 101 man. Well done, my friend. Well done. Jay Greg, go Old Granddad, cheaper and tastes good if you like a little burn. The stuff doesn't really burn. Either that or I'm used to it or my taste buds are all gone, which is entirely possible. But yeah, the Kentucky Gentleman's actually pretty good, and a 1.75 is like $14 here, so you can't really beat that. Harry, have you tried Maker's 46? I have. It's very good. It is. James Water on the rocks. Yeah, this is certainly not as good as some others out there, but again, it gets you where you need to go for sure. Mad Dog 2020 music lover, you are the best. That takes me back a few years, indeed. Yeah, Harry, try the rye. It's fantastic. Let's see. Frank Hellman, I have a Colt 45 budget. Nice, nice. Brian Ripple, did you do a video on the CZ Scorpion? Not yet. It's coming. And Brian, I'm glad you're here local. Hit me up sometime. You're welcome to shoot this if you want. But here it is right here. I've done some recording on it, some shooting vids. I want to get a little bit more shooting because I haven't videoed it with the Hollow Sun red dot on it. And by the way, I love that Hollow Sun. It's phenomenal. And for $170, you can't beat that with a stick. So I still have a little bit more video to grab on it. And I've chucked out more videos over the last maybe 4 weeks or so than I had planned. So I'm taking a week or two off and just kind of relaxing. And I've told myself I'm going to do that a little bit more this year. But, I might put out a couple of short videos or whatever. But I don't want to do that very much to you guys because I think they're boring. But whatever. Your mileage may vary, of course. But anyway, The Scorpion is coming up. I will say it is a ton of fun to shoot. So yeah, just holler at me if you want to shoot it. You're welcome to. Let's see. Okay, S3421, can you do a review on the AREX Alpha 9mm? I'd love to. I'd love to do any of the AREXs. The only one I've shot was Big Johnson's last time he was here in Kansas City. So I'd really like to get my hands on an AREX, and frankly, any one of them. But one of the newer models would be pretty cool. So I'm on the lookout for that. So. We'll see what happens. If nothing else, I've got one of my buddies at Center Fire has just the original AREX. I think it's a 01 or whatever it is. So I could do that. But so far, what I know of them and what I've shot of them and experienced them, they really are pretty cool guns. Music Lover, wish PPQ would sell 5-inch slides. Just the slide? Because they have the 5-inch PPQ, and then they also have the Q5 match. And those are both 5-inch guns. So, might be something to look into, perhaps. Shooting with Uncle Dan, thank you very much. Harry's 101 is the best budget bourbon out there right now. It's there's definitely some good stuff, no doubt about that. Jay Greg, Jim Beam, Devil's Cut. Don't try it at home, kids. I've never tried that before. Jim Beam also has they've got a black label that actually is really good as well. I think it's just a barrel aged bourbon or something like that, but I like it. Let's see. If you drink this bullet, if you drink budget bourbon, might as well give out. No, I don't know. I don't know about that too much. I have no shame for a little budget bourbon from time to time, mainly because I spend my money on guns and ammo. I can't buy the really good bourbon very often. Frank, no, we need content. Yeah, okay. Thank you, by the way, very much. I'm trying to be conscious of that a little bit because I don't want to start spitting out a bunch of things and people saying, not doing the normal reviews anymore. It's just products or this or that. So I don't want to get to that place. So try to be thoughtful about that whenever I possibly can. Let's see. Penny Packer is a great budget bourbon. Gerald, I haven't tried that before. I'll have to look and see if that's around here. I don't remember seeing that, but we've got some pretty massive liquor stores not too far away. So I will definitely keep an eye out for that. Firearms 101, KS, what rounds are you running through your P10C? Whatever I can afford. I do not carry the P10C right now, so I'm not as concerned about what rounds I run through it. But my carry ammo, generally speaking, is just HSTs. And that would be through my Shield and the 2.0 compact. But some of you guys know I did a review on the Fort Scott munitions, ammunition, and I was very impressed with how it ran through the Glock 19. It was a lot of fun, especially the 80 grain version, because it's actually a pretty light shooting ammo, and it really you can keep that gun really flat when you're shooting it. So I may switch actually to that for my carry gun, but I've got a little bit more work to do. I want to make sure it runs just fine in the M&P 2.0 compact as well as the Shield. So a little bit more to come on that, but so far it's been very impressive. Harry's gonna say, yeah, I consider budget bourbon a 25 to 35, not Evan Williams, although Evan Williams single is quite good. Yeah, Evan Williams really isn't that bad. Let's see. Sandpaper, booze and guns. Where are the women? I don't know. It's just me right now, unfortunately. Let's see. Bailey's and coffee for music. Listen, I'm Irish, man. You're speaking my language right there. And put a little Jameson in that. That'll get you where you need to go for sure. Elaine was saying, thanks for the Freedom Munitions. So the brand wasn't Freedom Munitions, but it was Free Munitions, which is pretty exciting. So I did win a $1,000 giveaway for Fort Scott Munitions. So that was very nice of them to do. I did not see that coming. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all that ammo just yet, because that's all carry ammo. That's not the type of stuff that I would take to the range. So I don't know. I might do some giveaways and have some fun with some. I want to do a little bit more testing and that sort of thing, and kind of challenge their ammo a little bit. So we'll see what happens with that. But that will probably be the only time I ever win anything, because I've never won anything before in my life. Seriously, I've never won anything before. So I'll have to enjoy it while I can. Let's see, Brian Ripple, do you have a grain preference in the Shadow 2? I've been running 124 grain. I do not have a preference. Again, whatever I can afford for that. I generally shoot right now, because I buy in bulk. I've been shooting just Federal Premium 115 grain, and I haven't had a single problem with that in any gun so far, knock on wood. But you know, I really don't have a preference. You know, 124 grain is fantastic for that. I mean, I think it'll eat basically anything, or at least I haven't heard anything to the contrary. So, you know, find what works best for you, what shoots best out of the gun, and just run with it. Mateo, just need a few cigars to go with booze and guns, right? Frank, all your stuff is great. Frank, you're very nice. I really appreciate that, man. Music saying MagTech cheapest factory ammo. You know, music. I've bought that in bulk a couple of times too. A lot of times, what I do, either at Frontier, they'll oftentimes have bulk ammo, and it's Federal Premium almost always. But then Centerfire, I'll put in an order and basically say, give me whatever's cheapest, with the exception of Winchester white box. I no longer use that stuff ever. But I've done MagTech a couple of times, and aside from the Hudson, I've had zero problems with it. And I'm not blaming the gun. Well, actually I am, but I haven't really had any problems with MagTech so far. I know other people have said that too, but I haven't had a problem with it. In 17, no, it was not rigged. I assure you of that. At least I hope it wasn't. I truly hope it wasn't rigged. Let's see. Vanessa Kitty. Hello, Vanessa Kitty. NC wants to store some ammo for me. Appreciate it. I will send some your way, my friend. Music, I am not a bastard. Well, I may be. I don't know. Bald, I'll send you some ammo, buddy. But you have to test it. That's the challenge. You have to actually test it, and I know you will. But you have to put it to good use, and give Fort Scott a shout out. Uncle Dan, good to see you, man. You've probably already left. I'm behind again, but Melissa Sierra Lake, good to see you as well. Thanks. Mateo, you should try Barnes loaded 115 grain TAC XP ammo. I'm not familiar with that, Mateo. So you'll have to educate me on that, as I know you will. You've got me curious, and I'll ask about that. I'll ask if Centerfire can get a hold of it. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've seen it around, even at Cabela's or places like that. And usually they've got a pretty good ammo supply. So I will definitely, I'll definitely take a look around. LZ saying try Jameson Black Irish. That sounds absolutely delightful. I will definitely look for that. Firearms 101. What are the chances a bunch of us getting together? It would take some time to figure out, but a weekend range with the brothers would be great. Well, I'm in, and I'm in the middle of the country. So if you guys want to come here, that would be delightful. But man, I'm game. You know, just holler at me. Let me know. Whatever music you love, cigars. Emmanuel, what's wrong with Winchester white box? You know, it's all up to interpretation. I've had basically good luck with it. The only time I've had issue with Winchester white box was with the Hudson, of course, and I think that was with all the ammo. And I think I ran 5 different types of ammo, and there were always issues with it. But I had it with one other firearm as well. I'm trying to remember what it was, and it might actually have been the SIG X5. Might have had some problems with it, a couple of hangups. From what I understand, the Winchester white box does not adhere to the I forget what the standard, and I forget what the acronym is for it for ammo. So basically, they can be slightly out of spec. I don't think it happens very often, but periodically it does. And if you've got a gun that's got a really thin opportunity for error when loading around in the chamber, that's when it could cause problems. Again, that's how it's been explained to me. I haven't really been able to prove it, but that's my understanding. Young Guns is saying Winchester White Box 124 NATO is good. I've got some of that lying around. I agree. I've never had a problem with that, but I don't find it very often. So I tend to hold on to that when I can. I mean, I've probably got 500 or 600 rounds of that in the safe, just for the sake of argument. All right, I'm behind again, guys. No, Dak, send me all your shit ammo. I don't have any shit ammo. Can't have any of mine. Parasitic wants to run some ammo for me, brother. Just let me know. I'll send you some as well. Let's see. Two-wheeling nut. The cheap ammo for me is the stuff I load for about $7. Let's see. So 50, 124 grain full metal jacket for 9mm, about the same cost. 38, 357. You know, okay. So I've always understood that if you're really just a 9mm shooter like I am, reloading is maybe not as cost effective as if you're shooting, 223 or, larger caliber, even 45, something like that. So correct me if I'm wrong. Ball, jump in there too. I know you've got a lot of experience with reloading. Some of you other guys do as well. But I'd be curious to know more about that, because I've just avoided reloading altogether, because I've just always understood that it's not as financially viable for somebody like me. So if I'm wrong, let me know and I might look into it. NC, what are the medals behind me in the case? Well, a lot of you guys know I was a musician. I was a drummer for 30 years, played professionally for a long time. Those are actually junior high awards, back when they used to give you, what looked like military medal awards. And dear old mom threw them in a shadow box, and I've got them, and they just ended up on that counter right there. So, it is what it is. Bald, your Hudson still runs like a champ, and that's awesome. I mean, I probably got a lemon. Let's face it. People have had such varying experiences with those, but I've heard more and more where people are having really good luck with them. So either it's varied experiences or they've tightened the ship a little bit. I think it's awesome that yours is running, and I really wish I still had mine. In fact, there's one that's been sitting at a local store of mine for about 3 months now. Nobody's touched it, and I've thought about it a couple of times because I really did enjoy that gun when it was shooting. I may do it again at some point in time on my own. We'll see. We'll see. Not at this point in time, though. Dave Gass, I was cutting up a down 100-foot pine tree from a storm on my property last week with my 2.0 shield on my side while drinking some beer. I thought you were actually taking the tree down with the 2.0 shield. That would have been pretty cool. Could be a country song, right? Guns, beers, and chainsaws. Yeah, that would be good for sure. Bald, can't picture me rocking the drums. There are many a picture, many a video out there. Not on YouTube. That was long before YouTube ever existed, thankfully. Although I kind of wish that we grew up in the age of YouTube, because the technology at hand for people to be able to put stuff out on YouTube like me is phenomenal, and that would have been pretty cool many years ago. Ralph Hoffman, regarding the Winchester white box, I had a problem with it in 9mm in the CMMG AR. So that's, it's interesting that you say that. I've been looking at the CMMG AR as well. So have you had any problems with anything else? I mean, that's, $1,400 gun. And I really like it quite a bit. It's very sharp looking. So I don't want to know if you had any other issues or two. Music, send music all the free guns and ammo for sure. Okay, the Uncharted Trucker, good to see you, by the way. Also, why does so few people do any reviews on 22 long rifle guns? Does everybody fear they will be called a sissy or something? 22 guns are actually pretty fun. I 100% agree. I've been eyeing a Ruger Mark IV. They're light, actually in kind of that dark orange. I think that's a really cool looking gun. And I may do that at some point in time. I hear that they are, the takedown is much easier on them, especially with the Mark IV, and there is no shame in a 22. They're fun. They're relatively inexpensive to shoot, so no, there's no shame in that at all. That may happen on the channel at some point. Like I said earlier, I'm running out of ideas. I really am. So that might be a great thing to do. Let's see. Music lover, no gigs anymore. No, I retired in 2013. Sorry. I had to. Arthritis and carpal tunnel. My hands were basically destroyed. So LZ, I was in several bands over the years. Jacob's Well was one, and then Parachute Adams was another, and they are actually still playing. They still exist, I think, a little bit, but I am no longer with them. So, Vanessa Kitty, you should show us your drums. Don't have them anymore, buddy. All gone. When I retired, I truly retired. I had to. Jay Greg, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. No, Dax, saving your brass and sending it to an ammo company for credit towards ammo isn't a bad idea. I actually didn't know you could do that. That's good to know for sure. Two-wheeling nut. It's just 9mm reloading. May not be worth it unless you find a load that shoots better than the factory stuff. Okay. I also reload 380 for less than 7 per 50. That's awesome. That is definitely good. Yeah, if I was more caliber diverse than I am, and you guys know I'm not. I occasionally have a 380 or a 45 around, but it's not very often. I've got one 45 on hand right now. If that was a bigger drive for me, or 40s, I know Mateo is very into 40s. Yeah, I would be on board with that, but I'm still not convinced on the 9mm thing. Music lover, nothing wrong with getting really drunk and driving. I feel like there is, but correct me if I'm wrong. My life, good to see you, buddy. Mag drop 3 times while firing the Hudson I rented, and got that beaver tail bite you mentioned. The trigger safety was also quite sticky. Pull itself was nice. Yeah, I'm interested in a Gen 2 possibly. Yeah, they put out that I think it was an aluminum one, the H2, I think they called it, or something like that, or H92 or whatever, or H9A, maybe that's it. I haven't seen one of those around yet or not, but if there was a Gen 2, I would potentially go back as well, because like I said, and I have maintained this the entire time through all of that stuff, when it was working, it was incredible. It just didn't work as often as I would have liked it to. So, parasitic. Chicago is now confiscating what they think are assault weapons from law-abiding citizens. It's absolutely unbelievable. Chicago is what it is. I hope that does not trickle to other places. Frank, you can always pick up one of those Ruger 450s. What's a Ruger 450? What is that? Is that a rifle? Music, I know you played bass. I think we've talked about that before. Harry Solster, how was your hearing after playing the drums? Well, it's ironic. So I went from playing the drums to shooting guns, even though I've kind of been shooting off and on my entire life. So very noisy hobbies, or second careers, or whatever you want to call them. And so my hearing's pretty bad. I've lost about 50% of my hearing in both ears. My noise filters are completely gone. I really can't go to crowded places. I can go, I can be there in person, but I can't really hear what anybody around me is saying. So, and I'm one of those very stubborn people that refuses hearing aids or anything like that, because I'm not that old, I think, and that's a stereotype thing. So yeah, I did a lot of damage to my ears, because I never wore hearing protection when I played, because I was also a singer, and if you're a singer, and you have some sort of hearing protection or whatever, it can mess with your voice a little bit, so it's harder to harmonize and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't do it, and I am paying for that now for sure. Brian Whipple is saying Freedom Munitions has a brass credit program. I know they do some reloads, so that's good to know. I'll take a look into that. Firearms, you play a djembe. That's awesome. And yeah, that's if anybody wants to know, that's how you pronounce that. It's a djembe. I do have a couple of those lying around downstairs. Those are really cool. If nothing else, at least for decoration. Nodak saying Phoenix Ammo has a brass credit last time I checked. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So my life, you've shot the H9A. You say it shot quite low. A lot of people are saying that the H9s typically shoot a little bit low, although mine didn't. Mine was pretty dead on. But interesting. I didn't know they were even out yet, so that's good to know. 17 says I was the backup drummer for Journey. No, I was not the backup drummer for Journey. Captain Phil, did KS have a mullet in his drumming days? Well, I was a drummer. I mean, I started in the very early 80s, but believe it or not, no, not until probably the very early 90s. I had a mullet for a very brief time. That was short-lived, thankfully. Music lover, the Ruger PC still sounds intriguing. Yeah, I've handled one. I've never shot one or anything like that. I handled one at Frontier Justice. It looked pretty cool. I mean, it felt decent. It just, to me, it wasn't very inspiring. I love the idea that the cost is right. I've never heard anybody say they have a problem with it. It was tough to pass up that CZ Scorpion, so I went with that instead. But I may do a roundabout and come back to the Ruger PC at some point, perhaps. Harry, I thought he was actually the Asian guy that is the lead singer. Thank you, Harry. I appreciate that. I will remember that, my friend. Let's see. Nodak saying he used playing some terrible punk bands when I was younger. All of the bands we played in when we were younger were terrible. Let's face it. Frank Hellman, the classic #1 Ruger rifle is now chambered in the powerful 450 Bushmasters. Okay, so that's what you were referring to earlier. I'm not a big long gun guy, and I probably would do something like a 223 556. That would be more up my alley. If I went back to an AR, I've owned one, and that was fine, and that was good. And I probably will do that again at some point in time. But it's just not that inspiring to me right now. Mateo, let's see. What did you say? I'm the same way. I'm hearing loss from demolitions work in the Marines. Yeah, absolutely. And once it's gone, it's gone. There's not much you can do about it, unfortunately. I'm just used to it. I say what a lot, and people just kind of are used to that. Ralph is saying the CMMG 9mm AR is good. Winchester White Box 115 has poor Q&A. Absolutely, it does. And did not properly, there wasn't the right headspace. And I think that's it. I think that that was part of the problem. They don't adhere to that spec. Again, I wish I could remember what that was. I'll look that up and I'll try and remember for next time. But I'm glad to hear about the CMMG. I'm still thinking about that because it is a darn good looking gun. And the alternative being the SIG at $2,000, the CMMG looks even a lot better. It's still kind of expensive, but it is not nearly that expensive. Harry Solsters, I don't have any rhythm, but I love music. Yeah, that's I think rhythm is sort of born. I think you're born with rhythm or not. I don't think that's something you develop. I think you can refine it, but I think you're born with rhythm. Okay, my life knows saying just saying H9A shot the H9. Okay, I get you. Parasitic is saying try out the Ruger EC9S. Yeah, that's very similar to the LC9, right? It's basically kind of the same size, I think, but kind of an economy model. I think it looks awesome. I'd like to try. In fact, I handled it was the LC9S Pro not too long ago at Centerfire. They had one, and they don't have them very often, but I like the trigger on that. So I may do that. We'll see. LZ drummers get all the girls. No, they don't. No, they don't. That's all I'm going to say. Let's see. Uncharted Trucker Ruger PC carbine will be awesome once they get the aftermarket stuff out, like Magpul. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that'll help as well. I think that will. Dave Gass, Mullets rule, business in front, party in the back. Amen, brother. Let's see. Joe W. Gurr, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Can you do a review of the Centacore 320 takedown pin lever for the SIG P320? No more busted fingernails. It has a screw slot and replaces the SIG lever. You can use a coin or case or screwdriver. So this is just a replacement. It's a replacement for the takedown lever, and that's it. I am not familiar with that. I mean, I can certainly look into it. I've never really had a problem with their takedown levers. I know on some of the newer ones, if it's the post recall trigger, they're pretty tight when they come back, and you have to work them in a little bit. I've found that after you shoot the gun about 100 rounds or so, it loosens up quite a bit. And I haven't had any problems since then with any of mine, and I've got 4 that are post recall. So take that for what it's worth. By the way, somebody said they were from Wichita. I'm sorry that I think I missed that. Whoever is from Wichita, hello. Let's see. Keith Gregory, good to see you, brother. Thoughts on ported barrels? Yeah, I like them. I like them quite a bit. Again, the 19C is one of my favorite guns. It's a lot of fun. I don't find it practical from a carry standpoint or even home defense standpoint with the ported barrel in it, just because of the noise factor. I think, anytime you can avoid any danger back to yourself or risk of injury and hearing injury, of course, is good. So when I'm not at the range with the ported barrel, I actually keep them. I've got one of those ZevTech. It's a dimpled barrel, whatever, in it, so that avoids that issue a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think ported barrels are fine, and I prefer them over compensated barrels, and that's just me. Compensated barrels are just fine, and those probably work a little bit better. It's probably more noticeable, but I like the ported barrels, especially in that 19C. It's a great gun. My Life groupies, we did have a couple of groupies over the years, and I question their integrity. I don't know why they would have been groupies with us. Brian Ripple, let's see, Shadow 2 or PPS or the Sig Sauer P226 Legion SAO. Yikes, that's really, really, really tough. I'm a huge Legion fan. I've got a 229. It's one of my favorite guns, and the 226 is fantastic as well. That'd be really tough to decide. You'll have to get back with me on that. I don't know. Vbor, good to see you, man. That is really, really tough. You're putting me on the spot on that one. That might have to be and if I could only have one. Patrick, I see you now. You're from Wichita. Welcome, fellow Kansan. Let's see. Keenan is saying the CZ97B is a good home defense gun, but a good range gun as well. Yeah, I mean, CCs are just, a lot of them are all arounders. I mean, they really do make fantastic guns, no doubt about it. Frank's saying, thanks, Harry. I was only dissing KS about being so tightly focused. I clearly missed something. But damn you anyway. All right, guys, it's getting pretty close here. I decided I was going to do basically an hour, and that's kind of right about where we are. And people are starting to drop off now, so there's probably some other stuff going on. So if there are any last-minute questions or anything like that, let me know. But before you have any questions or anything, as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining. This is a ton of fun. I don't do the live solo thing very often, and it will be very impromptu. We typically do our Wednesdays, of course, with 1776 and Big Johnson, and that's kind of the big focus there. But Frank, it's time for your warm milk. Nice. Or it's probably time for mine after the scathing comment that I got on Instagram. But anyways. So yeah, any other questions or anything like that? I haven't seen anything so far. Best 45 for the range from Patrick. That's tough, man. There are a lot of really good 45s. If it's only for the range, I would go something a little bigger, a little heavier, whether it's a 1911 or something like that. CZ makes some good 45s as well. I mean, your sky's kind of the limit there, but I would look for something that's a little bit heavier, absorbs that recoil very well, because it's going to tire you a little bit less, I would think. Firearm, thank you very much as well. Appreciate it. All of you guys, thank you very much. Paul, I'm not going to answer that. That's plausible deniability. What happened back in the 80s and 90s stays in the 80s and 90s. I'm far less cool than I was back when I was a drummer. So you guys, okay. So I think that is it. My Life, good to see you, buddy. Yeah, you guys, we've got our normal chat tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. So hopefully we'll see all of you guys there. Thanks so much for joining me, of course, and I will see you next time.